Hey everybody, in this video we are going to start talking about the release. Let's get to it. Hey everybody, Scott Hogan coming at you. Hopefully you're still riding high off of that match play we had over the weekend. I'm so excited. Then we got another big one coming up this week. 2 golf courses I'm excited to see on TV. I think this is going to be awesome. It's getting me jacked to be out playing golf again. I think this is what we needed. And you know, if you're here in Illinois, it's tons of restrictions and stuff, but you know what? I'm ready to go deal with them because I'm just super excited about the game and what we've seen over these last couple of days and what's to come. So I wanted to start looking at the golf swing and continue taking a deep dive and getting through some things that I have people always ask me questions about. They say, oh, I should do this or I shouldn't do this. And it's usually from reading little bits and tips throughout the course of their golfing career, but I want to clarify where we're at with some of these things. And today we're going to talk about the release. And I think that's something that's very misunderstood. Before we get to it, I wanted to mention we have our Stop Your Slice series over at ScottHoganGolf.com. I'll link it down below. If you're somebody that's struggled with turning the ball over, I think it's really going to help you in a digestible video format. Tried to make it very easy to follow and not a ton of information on stuff that you don't need. And then we'll help you turn that ball over as quickly as you can. So make sure you check that out over there at ScottHoganGolf.com. All right, now let's dive into the release. Okay, so it seems like, hey, we worked on a takeaway. We've worked on some motions, but why aren't we going into like the top of the backswing, things like that? I actually prefer to work on the golf swing. I've had great success when we start kind of taking the swing. If we work on a certain section on the backswing, we work on kind of that similar section on the way through. I feel like you can start feeling like where you're going with the swing. When you go all the way to the top of the swing, sometimes it's hard to imagine where you're going to be going with the swing. So I like to get that finish point in there and start understanding what we're going to have happen through the golf ball. I think that can really be helpful as we work on our golf swing, and I think it makes it more fun and more, attainable as you work on it in this manner. So that's just something I like to do, and that's how I teach. So that's why we're going to the release today. This is that section, kind of impact all the way through to about hip high on the follow through. Let's talk about some different releases and what you can do to make your golf swing better. All right, so we're looking at the release here. Let's talk about it. There's a couple different releases that we can do that I see good players have. There's one that I see really people that struggle, they do, that we don't want to be doing, okay? So let's talk a little bit about what you shouldn't be doing or what I see people that struggle do. And that is when they come in, they think about releasing the club. They think about, hey, I've got to get the face closed. I got to square it up. Now, if you have a swing that's working, you should probably already have the face square. By the time you're coming into the hitting zone, you need to have the face square already, and that's going to help you be more consistent. We'll talk more about how you get the face squared and what that means in later deeper dive videos, so stay tuned for those. But what I see people do then when they try to square it up is they use their whole arms, their forearms and their upper arms, and they try to square the club. That causes us a couple of issues. One, when we come down, we typically see you get into this kind of ugly flippy position where you're trying to square it. And then also from this angle, what you see is this trail shoulder really gets starting to go out. We call that internal rotation. It's going to get internally rotated. Going to cause you some path issues as you go through the swing. So again, we're not trying to square it up. We're just trying to keep the face square as we release, okay? So here's 2 ways that I see really good players release the golf club. The first thing you got to know is it's mainly your hands and your wrist. Your forearms do a little bit too, but they kind of go along for the ride in this one. So your wrists, there's 2 ways they basically are going to move, okay? You're going to have what we call flexion, you're going to have extension. So it's just like a windshield wiper, where my wrist right here is flexing and it's extending. That's the 2 key moves on the lead wrist that you want to see. Your trail wrist does it too, but we'll focus more on the lead wrist as we go. So the first one that you can do, I think this is the easier one, but as I start my swing or I'm coming through my impact zone, let's imagine we took our good takeaway and I'm transitioning. What I want to feel is my wrist flexed, and then as I go through, let it extend. Let it extend. What you'll see is the club face is going to stay nice and square to my spine all the way through, okay? So that's going to look something like this, okay? Haven't let a ton of release go. As far as twist, I've just let my wrist go into extension. Now, a lot of people say, well, wait, isn't that flipping? It's not, even though, let's talk about flipping for a second. Flipping at impact, right? If you're not familiar with what impact looks like for a lot of players, they have their hands ahead, the club is trailing, the club head's trailing your hands, and they have that nice strike on the ball. But if you look very shortly after impact, they almost always have released and had their wrist go in some way. What actually happens with impact is it's just we took this picture at that one moment in time and we caught the club looking like that. And that comes from, when we do this correctly, as I pick up speed, the club just likes to line up with my left arm, my lead arm, through the swing. So it just kind of happens as you go. So I never really try to get my hands into that position. I try to work on how I'm making the club move, and we usually get some good things, okay? I think if you actually listen to a lot of tour guys, they actually talk about how they want to get rid of that shaft lean. They hate how they shaft lean it too much because it causes some of its own issues. But anyway, releasing like that, it keeps the face square a lot longer. Now let's say you're somebody, you do want more of that shaft lean, or there is a different way you can do this. This one's going to rely on a little bit more forearm rotation as we go, but something you can do as well. You're going to bring the club back, you're going to transition. Again, the lead wrist is going to get flexed. You're going to have this motion right here, or this shape in your lead wrist. And as you come in, you're going to try to maintain that flex, and you rotate your arm. So what I tell people to do is, if you took your phone out, act like you're holding it. My phone's looking back that way, okay? Come in, have the camera pointed up at you at impact, and then keep it pointed at you like you're gonna take a selfie, okay? That's a great way to discuss what we're talking about and feel it. That's gonna help you as you go through this. So you bring it in, you go through, you take that selfie, and then you would finish. Now, you can see I'm actually struggling to move through that. As somebody that's had wrist issues in the past, that move is tough. Okay, that one hurts. All right, I can't do that move. So that is a way that we do see people release the golf club though, and that's what they'll look like on camera. I think you just try out either one of the releases and see what one works for you. But those are the two most common ones we see. They all deal with more of, instead of trying to just throw arms, throw shoulders, doing anything to square the face up, it's more about how your wrist goes, okay, and controlling that motion through. One of them, you just let it go from flexion to extension. One of them, you keep it flexed, and then you add in a little bit of forearm rotation to finish the swing. Kind of up to you and what you want to do and what your preferences are. I would try both out and see what you like. So that is the release. The release is something I misunderstood for years. You know, I did things certain ways when I started playing golf, and I would do it, and I look back, and I did, you know, I had that release where I just kind of let my palm face the screen, just very, very, you know, it almost feels like a flip, but it's not a flip. It's that type of release because, you know, that's just what came naturally to me. I hit the ball very consistently, I did things well. I was told, oh, you can't do that, you gotta do things these certain ways, and then, you know, it started to get unraveling a little bit. So understanding releases and what really is going on, I think it's something that's actually fairly new in golf industry, because we are able to now measure how the wrists move. So I think we're seeing a little bit more confirmation that there's a few ways you can do it, and some of the old ways might not be the best. So just interesting stuff that comes with it. Try out a couple, see what works best for you, and I think you're gonna get to a good point in your golf swing. Again, thanks everybody for watching. Leave us the comments below if you're liking these deep dives. Smash that like button. We really would like to know if you're enjoying taking a look at the golf swing. And we're gonna have more coming up. We have the Flight Scope X3. We've got the George Gankus G-Box coming up. We got reviews on those, so don't miss out on those. Click that subscribe button, and we will see you in the next video, all right? Peace.